So, sitting down with Wendi Mooney. Wendi, first, give me a little bit of your context, who you are. Yeah.
I've been in pastoral ministry for like 25 years.
Okay.
13 of them were as a staff pastor in the local church. And really, I was interacting with women and teenagers and couples, and what they were needing from me was way more than I could do.
Yeah.
So I decided when I turned 50 years old to go to grad school.
Yeah.
I went to FPU seminary to find out, the theory behind. I knew how to do this in a faith journey, but then to learn the science is what I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as you know, we're here talking about the church and trauma. Why would the Well and why would a church in general launch a counseling center? Like, why is that a solution to dealing with some of the pain that the church has experienced internally or externally?
Well, not many churches do, honestly. In fact, in grad school, one of my ethics professors said, you can't do this. And so in 2009, we launched here at the Well because Brad was seeing incredible growth in numbers and then in the care needs of our people. And it was outpacing the pastors. The pastors could see someone for a couple of times, but it was long-term care needs and therapy that they needed. So we launched a clinical counseling center.
Speaking to that, like, what kind of training does a typical pastor get in terms of counseling and trauma, and then what kind of training does a counselor get?
Yeah, I went to seminary, and in some of my counseling classes there were pastors, but it's very little. Guys on staff here maybe didn't even have a counseling, anything in seminary training.
Interesting. So when you think about trauma, what is the church's role in being entering into the trauma of their members' lives or community lives?
Well, that kind of brokenness runs deep. And so for us to be able to enter into that kind of pain and contain it within the counseling center rooms, which I think are sacred spaces, and then enter in with a person to help guide them toward healing. So a lot of time we're slinging hope because they have no hope. And trauma can really hurt people deeply, and it does.
I know you guys do this on a larger scale, you can't say case by case, but what are the types of issues that come to the counseling center here?
It's interesting. When I started, I thought pretty much all we'd see is depression, anxiety, which are significant, no doubt. But now we see everything in the spectrum. Child abuse, sexual abuse as children, PTSD. We work with law enforcement and military families. So there's all of that spectrum, which I thought was going to be very narrow. Over 9 years has become very broad. When
at least I've heard the critique or just that idea of like, hey, you're in Clovis or North Fresno, like you guys don't have issues, like some of the issues are more visible in other parts of the city, but you've experienced the issues are everywhere, right?
They don't stop at Herndon. Right? They come north, and it doesn't matter the socioeconomic strata, the brokenness in us as humans goes across the board. So we see it everywhere. But what I really love about the Well is that we were able to not only have a North Counseling Center here at the North Campus, but also at our Fig Garden campus. So that's more convenient for Tower people. It's just more convenient. And to have two places for them to come is really way more customer service oriented.
So speak a little bit to the model of even how do you keep it affordable, because that is a limiter, right? Like most of the time I think that's what people think of, like I just can't do $100 a session with a trained counselor. So how have you guys partnered to make that happen? And then what's the models for, because these folks give us the model.
So I'm a licensed marriage family therapist, and there are 4 of us on staff. And our rate is $80 a session. And that sounds like a lot, but in town right now, it's about $120 to see an LMFT. And so then we also take interns on staff, and they're staff members, and these guys have their master's degrees, and they're working on 3,000 hours of clinical work under supervision. And so that's a really sweet way that the Well gets to invest in the next generation of therapists coming out of school. So we work with Fresno State and FPU and other universities. And then we also have practicum students. They're in their senior year of their master's work. And they're $20 a session. And so we've got from 20 to 80, so we do have a sliding scale. Because it's cash, we don't bill insurance, so it's payment at the time of service, and we're sensitive to that.
Yeah. If a church, well, let's speak to Regen. How do you try and integrate and coordinate what Shauna's going to be sharing about Regen? How do you try and partner counselors to a program like Regen that's very different, but some of the goals overlap, but then they're also different in some of the approaches. So.
Well, what I love about Regen is that at the Well we had life groups and then we had the counseling center, but we didn't have anything to bridge that, and that's what Regen provides. So they're not ready for a life group, and they don't necessarily need clinical counseling one-on-one or couples, but Regen provides that space where they can look seriously at their pain, study the gospel and what that means. But then what's cool is that in that spectrum, now we refer back and forth. And in fact, I just came from group supervision and encouraged our therapists who see Regen participants to make sure they go at least once a year to a commencement, so they see the outcome of Regen. We know from the client's perspective, and we encourage people both ways. And then when Shauna has people that are having really big struggles and they need one-on-one help in conjunction with. So it's a team.
Yeah, that's great. So if a church is interested or somebody wants to learn more about what you guys have done here, and just even your dumb tax and all the things that have happened, like how could they get a hold of you? How could they get information?
I'll do something bold. My cell phone number's 559-492-7758. And
say it again.
492-7759. Oh jeez, I don't remember my cell phone number. I shouldn't have been that bold. Or Wendi at thewellcommunity.org, and it's Wendi, Wendi. So I have worked with lots of area churches and outside our area to start a counseling center. There's lots of people that need help, and we need partners in ministry. And so I'm really free, because when I was looking and doing research to start the Well Counseling Center, I went to San Diego. That was the closest one, and they were awesome.
That's cool.
To be like, hey, this is what you should do in this dumb tax. And so I was blessed by them, and so for me to bless others, I'm all over that.
And then final maybe admonition from, all these folks are in the church context, they're seeing trauma. What admonition would you give them as they're pastoring, as they're walking into trauma-filled lives? A nice, easy
easy. Thank you. Lobbing me an easy one. Don't be afraid to enter in and listen and believe them, because some of the stories are just mind benders. But to be that listening heart that can sit in the ashes with them, and so they don't feel alone. And then if it's something that you need to refer out, don't even hesitate to refer to someone that can really care for them. Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks, and enjoy the rest of your breakout.
Yeah.